This is an unscripted video because I'm actually getting really annoyed and I didn't have time to prepare something else. Long story, I'm not gonna bore you with it. But in case you aren't aware, there's an initiative ongoing trying to stop developers and publishers from killing video games. If you're a citizen of a country within the European Union like myself, for one, I'm so sorry for you, I feel your pain. Secondly, there is a link in the description to a petition trying to stop developers from killing video games and have an end-of-life plan for them. The initiative is pretty fair and great. I have lost count of how many video games have simply been pulled from the hands of players just because developers and publishers decided that you no longer had access to them because fuck you, that's why. Games you paid money for, games you invested in say microtransactions and so on, buying skins or DLC packs or whatever, that are simply unplayable now. Think The Crew, Multiverses, and fucking Evolve, remember that one? I should clarify that this isn't just about live service or multiplayer only games, this is also about games that offer single player and multiplayer options where the multiplayer options stop being available, or single player games that have just been pulled because. This initiative is trying to go through the legal route in order to force publishers to have an end-of-life plan for games, such as, for example, having an offline mode to at least guarantee that the game is still playable to make sure that you didn't just pay for something that can be pulled from you at a moment's notice because developers didn't think things through. For a common example of how this would work, think of Counter-Strike Global Offensive or Counter-Strike 2 now. Oh shit, Counter-Strike 2, did they finally update CS 1.6? No, it's CSGO on the Source 2 engine. Anyway, Counter-Strike in all its iterations allows players to play offline with bots, host local matches, and create community servers, meaning that this game can last effectively forever because it doesn't need official support from Valve. If Valve wanted to shut down Counter-Strike for good tomorrow, then players would still be able to play it because they would be able to create community servers or play offline. By shutdown, I mean pull support. You get what I mean. You might be wondering why I'm using Counter-Strike as an example. Just stick with me for a second, but think about CSGO. CSGO has been delisted. You can no longer get CSGO. You can only get CS 1.6, Source, and 2. But there is still a community of people playing CSGO. Why? Because Valve allows it. You can create community servers, and now there is a project to restore CSGO. Here is background footage of my friend playing this restored CSGO version. I'll just keep it up for a bit while I talk about this. Anyway, do you know about a guy called PirateSoftware?
Oh, lovely. They've sent me a moron!
He is an ex-Blizzard employee who's making his own games now. And you know, having worked at Blizzard is much like having HIV. You simply can't get rid of the fucking infection and it's with you for the rest of your life. He has had controversies of his own, but I'm not here to talk about them. I'm here to talk about the fact that this supposed consumer advocate who is advocating for the rights of consumers because he wants to advocate for the rights of consumers as a consumer advocate, decided to slander this entire initiative for an entire 10 months, pretending to know what he's talking about and deliberately lying about it even when he has it on screen, because he knows very damn well that people who watch his, say, streams aren't exactly reading what's on screen and are just going along with what he's saying because they trust him, they're his viewers and subscribers and so on. One thing you have to understand is that this guy has an absolutely massive following and a lot of people are influenced by what he says. So him spending 10 months lying about an initiative is effectively killing any traction it might have. And believe me, there are deadlines for this initiative. I'm just gonna have this screenshot over here on screen for a second and I'm gonna read to you the first paragraph of this objective section of the initiative. It reads, "This initiative calls to require publishers that sell or license video games to consumers in the European Union or related features and assets sold for video games they operate to leave said video games in a functional, playable state." I'll read the second paragraph as well, just for context. Specifically, the initiative seeks to prevent the remote disabling of video games by the publishers before providing reasonable means to continue functioning of said video games without the involvement from the side of the publisher. In simple English, this means if you sell a video game, make sure that the people you sold it to can still play the video game. Once again, think Counter-Strike, which will remain playable because people can create community servers, play against bots, and host local matches. I think it's pretty simple, pretty easy to understand, right? For you, it might be, but for PirateSoftware, it sure as fuck isn't. Because in his live streams, which I will leave a link to in the description, and to a video that goes over them, decided to deliberately misconstrue what this means and try to say that this initiative is to get publishers and video game developers to rework their games to make sure they work entirely in single player, so effectively reworking live service and multiplayer only games to be single player, or to add an entirely new single player only mode that reflects what the game is supposed to be in multiplayer, which according to him would require effectively redesigning the entire game. He quite literally also says that this initiative would cause live service game devs and publishers to always maintain servers and keep servers always online, because that's what it would would take to maintain a playable state. He knows very well that this is not true, but goddamn, dude, that is a very extreme and simultaneously suspiciously specific reading of this initiative's request, isn't it? I mean, goddamn it, dude, he seems to be very worried about the bottom line of multiplayer-only games, and seems to be particularly bothered with all the effort, quote-unquote, that it would take to maintain a playable state for live service games or multiplayer-only games. You know, with how much he's exaggerating and trying to pretend that this is a bad thing, it's almost like he has a financial incentive for this. Okay. This is starting to make a lot more sense now, isn't it? Rivals of Aether 2. I see. Let's look at the tags for this product. Oh yeah, okay. My, dude, who could have guessed that the former Blizzard employee pretending to be in favor of consumer rights is against the basic consumer right of consuming the consumable product the consumers bought? Who could have guessed that the advocate for consumer rights with a financial incentive in a live service game is worried about the financial implications that consumer rights would have on his live service game? I wonder why he focuses so much on the example of live service games whenever he's trying to shit-talk this initiative. Damn, dude, it's almost like he doesn't want to bother investing in making a game remain playable because then people might not dip as much money into his live service game as they otherwise would if they didn't suffer from fear of missing out, which incidentally happens to be the most common business strategy when running live service games. Pirate Software is a shill and a fucking hypocrite, and if you want to give him an L, share this video, open the first link in the description, and then sign it if you are a citizen of a country within the European Union, and then send it to other people. Because the deadline for this initiative is, I think, the end of this month or the end of the next. Send me a screenshot showing you have signed it, and I will include your name in the special thanks section of my next video. Thank you guys for watching, and leave a 100 emoji if you are in favor of sending Pirate Software back to first grade to learn how to read. Thank you guys for watching.